The scene opens on a powerful, dark figure with horns and glowing red eyes, lounging on a grand throne. He sighs, a plume of smoke-like energy escaping his lips. I am Kim Jang-cheol, an ordinary graduate school student in Korea, he narrates. At least, I used to be. His thoughts continue, explaining his bizarre predicament. Yesterday, I suddenly became the Demon King Kratos, the final boss of the game I liked playing. He reflects on the irony. Well, that's a common story. The game, he recalls, was called Paladin of Blood, and its goal was to revive an ancient hero who had fallen asleep. A brief image of this sleeping hero flashes by. The Demon King, still grappling with his new reality, seems to dismiss the details as unimportant. You know what? Never mind. Telling you something like that wouldn't even help. He sighs again, the weight of his situation evident. The problem now is... Just then, a formally dressed man with smaller horns, glasses, and pointed ears walks in, announcing, Lord Kratos. This aide, named Zephyros, approaches the throne with a serious expression. The preparations for war have been completed. The scene erupts into a frenzy of monstrous roars and the clash of steel. A vast demonic army, filled with grotesque creatures and formidable warriors, rallies with bloodlust in their eyes. Leading the charge are the Demon King's powerful commanders. Asurat, the prince who drinks blood, with a wild, maniacal grin screams, Let's end our starvation with today's great invasion! He laments, our tragedy of being born in a barren land, the pain of having to eat our own kind. Beside him stands Sergei, the cold monarch, a stoic, armored warrior with flowing white hair. She declares, Let's make history that will last. Hartok, the Archduke of Fog, a dapper yet menacing figure in a suit, bellows, Rip the humans apart, crush the elves. And Baal, the black boulder tyrant, a mountain of muscle with fiery red hair, roars the final command. Turn them all into our food! From a high vantage point, Demon King Kratos and his aide Zephyros watch as their legions surge forward, a terrifying tide of destruction ready to be unleashed. Just as the army is about to charge, Demon King Kratos roars, Demon army, listen up! His commanders, who were leading the charge, stop and look back at him. Confused. This war, Kratos declares, his voice booming over the battlefield. I, Kratos, order all of the demon folk. It must be stopped at all costs. His commanders are shocked. Baal, Sergei, Hartok, and Asurat stare in disbelief and anger. They were ready for a fight. Kratos continues his surprising announcement. From now on, we will stop our attack, Kratos declares, his expression unyielding. Then he drops the bombshell. And start farming! His commanders are stunned into silence for a moment before erupting in unison. That's absurd! Their faces contort in rage and confusion. The sheer force of their outcry sends a jolt of terror through the Demon King. His face contorts into a terrifying grimace, but internally he's screaming, They are so fucking scary! Seeing their king's face twist into what they perceive as ultimate fury, the commanders immediately recoil. Sweating and terrified, they are utterly intimidated by the horrifying wrath they believe they've just unleashed. Suddenly, a blue notification box appears before him. A sight only he can see. It reads, Notification. You have started your 20th playthrough. This isn't just a premonition. It's a lived experience. The source of the Demon King's terror is the hero of the game, an absurdly powerful figure labeled Playable Character Aged Kimchi. Level 9,990. Having faced him 19 times before, Kratos knows the outcome all too well. I will definitely die by his hands, he thinks in despair. The scene then rewinds to his past life as Kim Jang-cheol. I became a graduate student in a farming course within Korea University in hopes of becoming a rich farmer. He narrates, I was freaking clever, so I became the ace of my course in no time. However, his talent made him a target for exploitation. Being the top graduate student meant everyone else's work was piled onto him. A smiling professor tells him, Oh my, Jang-cheol, you're so clever. Write my thesis too. This will help you a lot. Another senior researcher says, I want you to help me with this project. You're very good at doing this. It even devolved into manual labor, with a muscular senior ordering, Oi Jang-cheol, plow the fields. Kim Jang-cheol's utterly drained, calling himself the #1 slave of his graduate program. He questions his life, wondering why he's doing all the work while his professors take all the credit. This frustration boils over into a psychotic break, where he screams in a fit of rage, vowing to kill his tormentors. His narration explains that his life had depleted him of all joy and motivation. The only way he could feel anything, the only way to get a dopamine boost, was to play games. He found solace in Paladin of Blood, a notoriously difficult game that no one had managed to clear 19 times. Desperate for a sense of achievement he couldn't find in his real life, Xianxia played obsessively, forgoing sleep entirely. He played through the game again and again, first time, second time, 10th time, until finally he defeated the final boss for the 19th time, a feat no one else had accomplished. In a state of sleep-deprived, maniacal glee, looking at the demon defeat screen, he laughs to himself. I'm so happy. I am the strongest in the world. It was in this moment of twisted triumph that his reality was forever changed. After his 19th victory, a new challenge appears on the screen. The 20th playthrough will be of insanely hellish difficulty. Xianxia, still riding the high of his win, looks at his powerful character, now ironically clad in a frilly pink magical girl outfit, and thinks, I need to level up first before trying it. I am the strongest. He quickly realizes his character is at level 9990, just shy of the game's max level of 9,999. Brushing aside the countless hours and years he's poured into the game, he eagerly accepts the prompt. Will you start your 20th playthrough? The moment he presses yes! A blinding beam of light erupts from the screen. What is happening? He screams in shock and terror as the light engulfs him. The force throws him backward, and in a final agonizing cry, his consciousness is pulled from his world and into the game. He finds himself as a glowing blue soul, soaring through the sky of a new world. Holy shit. What is all this? He thinks, panicking, before trying to reason his way through the bizarre situation. Calm down. I'm clever after all. Okay, I'm blue right now. That means this is my soul. As he flies, he feels a strange weightlessness. I probably won't fall and die. Probably, he reassures himself. Soon, a familiar landmark comes into view. That's the Tower of Life. The truth of his situation crashes down on him. This means I've entered the game, Paladin of Blood. His soul is pulled towards a grand, imposing structure. What? That's the tomb of the Paladin! His soul is drawn into the tomb. Xianxia is filled with a manic sense of triumph. Fuck yeah! I'm going to possess my character, Aged Kimchi, which is almost at max level, he thinks, a wide grin on his spectral face. My life of being invincible and strong is about to start. Ha 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 ha. His target is the sleeping hero, lying in his tomb, clad in the absurdly powerful, yet utterly ridiculous, magical girl armor. However, as Xianxia's soul gets a closer look, his excitement dies. Ah, now that I look at it, I really don't want to turn into that, he realizes with disgust. Before he can protest further, his soul is violently rerouted, flying past the hero's tomb and across the sky. What? Where am I going? What the hell? He screams, now a streak of light careening toward an unknown destination. His horror intensifies as he sees his new target, the dark, imposing figure of the Demon King Kratos. As his soul plummets towards the game's final boss, he desperately resists. Hey! That's definitely not it! No! I said, no! But his protests are useless as his soul slams directly into the body of the Demon King, sealing his fate. The story returns to the present, with Xianxia, now fully inhabiting the body of Demon King Kratos, sitting on his throne. This is driving me nuts, he thinks, full of regret. If I hadn't had that stupid thought after looking at that aged kimchi back there, I would have become the most overpowered character. I'm so stupid. I'm an idiot. As he wallows in self-pity, his aide Zephyros is on his way to the throne room. Along the way, he accidentally overhears the voices of the 4 commanders in the middle of a heated conversation. Kratos has definitely gotten weaker. That's why he got scared and stopped our attack. Aseroth is the first to speak. Let's join hands now and cut his head off. We'll share the authority of the throne. Baal, the brutish tyrant, is intrigued by the idea. though his thoughts are far simpler. I'm hungry. Asurat continues. Kratos became the king by taking the head of the previous demon lord. Wouldn't it be a fitting end for him to die the same way? However, Hartok, the calculating archduke, voices a word of caution. What if he didn't actually get weaker? He asks his fellow commanders. 2 out of the 4 of us would either suffer fatal injuries or die. The seed of rebellion has been planted, but the commanders are now faced with a deadly gamble. The debate continues. Sergei, the cold monarch, turns to Asurat. Asurat, if you offer to be our shield, we can give it a try, she suggests, her tone cool and strategic. Asurat roars back, What? Do you want to die by my hands first? Ball, still lost in thought, mutters internally, I'm hungry. Asurat, the bloodthirsty prince, brings the conversation back to the point. Okay, what if there's evidence that the demon lord has gotten weaker? What will you do then? Hartok gives the final chilling verdict. If that's the case, we'll have to kill him. The 4 commanders, united by bloodlust and ambition, seem to have reached a deadly consensus. Meanwhile, Zephyros returns to the throne room to report to his master. The news is grim. Reporting. The morale of our army has completely plummeted. He begins. There have been more cases of demons attacking and devouring each other. Some have even left the land of demons without notice. Kratos sits silently, absorbing the news of his crumbling kingdom. Then Zephyros delivers the most alarming update. The 4 great demon generals are enraged. They say you've gotten weaker and are planning to work together to cut your head off. Kratos clenches his fist, the reality of his situation crashing down on him. His thoughts swirl in dread. If the 4 of them attack me together, I'll definitely die. If I appear weak, I'll die. He is trapped, knowing that the slightest sign of fear will trigger the end of his very short reign. Forced into a corner, Kratos scrambles for a plan. Wait, what about aged kimchi? He wonders aloud. Since I didn't possess it, is it just a corpse? Then just charging into the human world would be better. His thought is interrupted by Zephyros, who presents a glowing red orb. And this is a video of the tomb of the paladin that was sent by General Ogmia, the aide announces. The orb projects a horrifying, glitchy scene. The hero, aged kimchi, is shown not as a noble paladin, but as a psychotic, blood-splattered killer. He brutally attacks an unseen victim who screams, Please stop! Help me! The hero, with a deranged look in his eyes, proceeds to gouge out the victim's eyes. No! Stop it! Kya! My eyes! My eyes! Kratos is so horrified by the vision that he recoils in terror, sweating profusely. Fuck, that won't work. That looked like some kind of play by a crazy person, he thinks, his voice trembling. I don't want to meet that guy. I must stay in this place no matter what. He is now faced with an impossible choice. A checkmate scenario from which there is no escape. At this rate, I'll either appear weak or choose to surrender, and the 4 great demon generals will kill me. And if I charge into the human world, aged kimchi will gouge my eyes out and kill me. The weight of his impossible situation crushes Kratos. He slumps in his throne, tears of genuine despair streaming down his face. Why? Why did I come into this game world? He wails. I can't even find happiness. But in the depths of his despair, a new resolve forms. He stands up, his demeanor shifting from defeated to determined. The only way would be to resolve the issue of food and get the demons to calm down. He begins to walk out of the throne room, only to be stopped by his ever-present aide. Lord Kratos, where are you going? Zephyros asks. Pardon? Oh, I'm going to look at some lands for farming. Kratos replies calmly. Zephyros is completely flabbergasted. Pardon? He repeats, his mind unable to process the statement. Kratos, still thinking like the polite graduate student he was, is confused by his aide's reaction and simply asks, What? This polite inquiry sends Zephyros into a state of shock. He adjusts his glasses, staring at his master as if seeing a stranger. Lord Kratos, you're narcissistic, arrogant, and have zero manners. He says bluntly, for you to say, pardon? The insult catches Kratos completely off guard. That's gross and horrifying. Please don't do that, he mutters, before wondering to himself, what's with him? Is he trying to provoke me? Was he always playing such a character? The disconnect between the Demon King's reputation and his own personality is becoming a problem in more ways than one. Kratos remembers Zephyros from the original game he was transported into. A tragically loyal figure who appeared only once to plead for peace before being cut down, becoming a fan favorite for his devotion. The reality, however, is a far cry from that romantic ideal. The Zephyros of this world is endlessly, infuriatingly critical, mercilessly mocking Kratos' latest plan to solve the demon's food crisis through farming. Orcs' Zephyros coldly lists the plan's flaws: Kratos' plummeting reputation, the land's infamous infertility. The demon lord's temper finally snaps. He demands the respect his title is due. But Zephyros remains utterly unfazed, delivering the final, logical blow. The cursed soil itself, with its extreme temperatures, cannot sustain life. Yet Kratos is desperate to survive. Declaring that his new abilities can save this land of death, he does the unthinkable. He kneels, shoves a handful of barren soil into his mouth, and begins to chew, analyzing its composition with a glowing red eye. Zephyros looks on in pure, unadulterated horror, silently concluding his master has devolved into a beggar who eats dirt. He immediately begins documenting this bizarre event in his chronicle, calmly ignoring Kratos' sputtering, outraged protests. After his impromptu soil tasting, Kratos confirms his suspicions. In any case, the ground here definitely has zero nutrients, he concludes. No nitrogen either. Drawing on his extensive agricultural knowledge from his previous life, nitrogen, an element that is absolutely necessary for the growth of plants. He explains that while the atmosphere is 78% nitrogen, plants can't use it directly because the atoms form incredibly stable triple bonds, making them resistant to chemical reactions. Thus, he continues, humanity developed the nitrogen fixation process through chemical engineering, leading to a huge increase in food production. However, in this world, without advanced technology, such a solution is impossible. That means we need to make use of the nitrogen fixation mechanism in nature, Kratos muses, a clever idea forming in his mind. Lightning! He explains his plan. Using its high voltage, nitrogen is oxidized into nitrite. It then mixes with rainwater and gets absorbed into the soil. His brilliant, if unconventional plan to save his kingdom through magical agriculture is now in motion. Kratos continues to piece together his new reality, a crucial memory from the game resurfacing. And the main technique of Demon Lord Kratos is, he recalls, remembering the devastating attack that always ended his playthroughs, a move called Bloody Strike. But now, with his agricultural knowledge, he sees the attack in a completely new light. It wasn't just a destructive force. It explodes both lightning and moisture at the same time, he realizes. It's a technique made for creating fertile soil. The ultimate weapon of the Demon King was, in fact, an ultimate farming tool. With this newfound understanding, he turns to Zephyros with a look of grim determination. Stand back, he commands. Here I go, he thinks, and then proceeds to dig his own sharp claws deep into his forearm. Blood flows freely as he screams in agony, a necessary component for the bloody part of the strike. He's horrified by the pain, thinking, bloody hell! This lunatic demon lord uses this every time? Is he crazy? It fucking hurts! From a distance, his 4 rebellious commanders witness his bizarre display of self-mutilation and screaming. They all come to the same, incorrect conclusion. He's gotten weak. He has gotten weaker. He's weaker now. Zephyros, standing right beside him, offers his own blunt assessment, adjusting his glasses. You've 100% gotten weaker. This statement sends Kratos into a spiral of paranoia. Convinced his aid is a threat, he thinks, he's definitely an assassin. His plan is to provoke me, then kill me. Caught between what he perceives as certain death at the hands of Zephyros and a rebellion from his generals, he chooses the only path he thinks will ensure his survival. This is better than dying. Here I go, he screams, once again digging his claws into his arm. With a roar of agony and desperation, he unleashes his ultimate power. Bloody! Strike! A torrent of blood splash at the barren ground. 1 second, 2 seconds. The powerful attack produced nothing only blood on the ground, as Kratos staggering, blood dripping from his wounded arm. Ah! Fuck! He groans, the pain almost overwhelming him. Seeing their chance, his 4 commanders slowly advance, their predatory intentions barely veiled. One of them steps forward, a look of false concern on his face. Demon Lord Kratos, do you feel unwell? he asks, his voice dripping with insincerity. Kratos clutches his arm, the blood and pain a stark reality. He can feel their eyes on him, like vultures circling their prey. Shit, he thinks, realizing his desperate gamble may have just sealed his fate. Meanwhile, far away in a peaceful green land, the hero known as Aged Kimchi stands alone, clad in his ridiculous magical girl armor. He reflects on his existence, a profound change having taken place within him. It's faint, but I have some memories of my previous life, he thinks. I've lived this life more than 10 times. I was headed for that place. I moved because of the summon of duty that led me there. But his driving force is gone. He touches the heart-shaped brooch on his chest, the source of his divine guidance, and finds it silent. But it's gone. The summon of duty no longer says anything. What do I live for now? He wonders, a deep existential crisis setting in. Without a quest to follow or a purpose to guide him, the hero turns. He begins to walk, his steps leading him away from the red-skied lands of the demons.